Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tayler Yarish Show, episode 10? 10, I believe it's 10. We're at double digits, everybody. Congrats if you've made it this far in me rambling to myself in my living room. It's been exciting, and we're at double digits. Not quite a milestone, I would say, but maybe it is. Listen, I never thought I was even going to do this, so here we are. It's Sunday. It's Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day. The day for love. I guess you could say I've been celebrating this holiday for the past couple years now. I've always felt a little weird about it, I'll be honest. Just because it's kind of it's not really a holiday, let's be honest. It's not. It's because when I think of a holiday, I think of, I think of the holidays that I celebrate because of the religion that I also don't follow. But, like Christmas to me is a holiday because there's, you're celebrating the whatever. And then there's people that don't celebrate Christmas because they believe in another thing. They have Hanukkah or another one, that was the first one I knew. But, they celebrate something else. They believe something else, so they celebrate something else. But, like, who, if you're not celebrating Valentine's Day, it's just because you can't, no one, you're not in love. You're not in it. You're not in the cool club. So it's not exactly the same thing because you, just depending on number of factors, what you look like, or, you just, everything about you, nobody chose you, or you didn't choose anybody, and so you're alone. And so you don't get to celebrate. And most people, if you ask them, will tell you that they're totally okay with it. And they're not. I mean, they're lying. And it's God, this is the time, because I was single for many, many moons, and many Valentine's Day, and, you play it off like, it's just me and my pizza, and those are just the saddest people to me. And I was one, and listen, I was one of them. I'm not saying I'm better and that I'm going to act like I didn't do that, but I did. And I got my Valentine right here, and it's you and for me it'd be a pint of Ben and Jerry's, but it's just, can we stop? Can you stop? You're alone. You're alone. This is a day about love, and you don't have it. And that's just what it is. And it's not funny and cute that you're alone. Your dog is not your Valentine. Your dog is not your Valentine. He doesn't know what Valentine's Day is, and you're alone. And it's okay. And again, if I was single, I'd probably be doing the same thing, and I would be wrong. I would be wrong and lonely. And that's just what it is. We don't normally do. We did a big thing the first year. The first year, she made cookies, and I got flowers and truffles, and it just spent an exorbitant amount of money that, and then afterwards you're like, huh, okay, yeah, all right. The feeling fades very quickly. The morning is a biggie. You got to come in with the flowers or the whatever, and I'm okay with doing it. I got flowers this morning. I went out. I didn't order them from online because they're $1,000 if you want to get 6 roses from wherever. Forget about it if you want to do chocolate covered straw or anything like that. Any type of food item you're trying to get shipped, you're gonna pay 1,000% markup on strawberries dipped in mediocre chocolate. That's what you're gonna get. And so I live in New York, so you got to go with the street vendors. The street vendors are the way to go, and they're out there the morning of usually. And so this is the first Valentine's Day in this apartment in this neighborhood, so I didn't know where the hell to go. I'm walking around. I'm going by the grocery store. I went to Rite Aid thinking that maybe they would have. As a last resort, I was walking by the dollar store, and they have beautiful, beautiful fake flowers. And I'm like, listen, yeah, they're fake, but they look nice. They don't smell like flowers. They smell, like an attic, because that's what Dollar Tree smells like, but they're flowers. They're something. So I was like, all right, maybe not. Maybe let's not do that. So I kept walking because I didn't know where to go. I didn't know the spot. I didn't know the corner. And every other apartment I've lived in, I knew those spots. So I'm walking, and there's this guy just coming out of, there's like a van on the street parked, and it's running at the door open, which not a great sign. But then there was a guy coming out of the building, and he's just carting things of flowers. And I stopped, and I was like, huh. And so I asked him, I'm like, are you selling those? He goes, yeah. Bam. That's my in. So I got some flowers from the vendor. He wasn't even set up yet. He's like, dude, I don't have change. I don't have anything. I'm like, I got to get back. I got to get back. And there's always, I don't know why, every time I get flowers and the walk home, just walking with flowers, I feel like such a dork. I don't know why. Like anything that I have to do, if that's not the last errand, like I went and got coffee as well, and just walking in there with my flowers. I don't know. I just feel goofy a little bit, Yeah, love. Yeah. Can I get a coffee? Love. I got love right here. I don't know. It's just I think I'm just self-conscious about everyone else that's looking at me. It's like, oh God. Because I mean, and again, they're probably not. They don't care. They probably really don't care. But that's how I used to be, because I was super cynical, and I'd see people, come in, and I didn't see that they're doing something nice that they do this one time a year, and I'm that guy. And I'm thankful I got the flowers. I was walking around. I'm seeing people get out of their cars to get. I'm like, do I have to get? Oh man, I had to drive somewhere to get flowers. I'm glad I got the flowers, but I just feel like a dork walking with them because everybody knows what's up. You know what I mean? I don't like when when they see you with the thing you got, and then they know what's about to happen next in your life. Like when I go to the bodega to get Ben & Jerry's, they don't give you a bag anymore. So you just have to carry the Ben & Jerry's home. And so I always feel anxious and self-conscious because everyone's looking at me just walking with this carton. It's a very recognizable carton, Ben & Jerry's. And so they're looking at me, and they know what's about to happen. They're like, you're going to plot your fat ass down, and you're going to finish that whole thing. That's what you're going to do. And it's kind of the same thing with the flowers. Like, you're going to go home, and you're going to give them, and I just don't like it feels like they're up in my business a little bit. So, I don't know. And it's just such a weird holiday. Does anyone even know how it started? I think it was like a saint, and there's like two stories I feel like I've read before. And I'm going to just elaborate on them without looking them up. So I think one of them was like the Valentine, because there was an emperor or a king or somebody was like, hey, we don't want our soldiers to be in, like, if they're married, they're not going to be good soldiers. We need single dudes because they're sad and angry and they fight hard. So we're going to outlaw marriage. And so Saint Valentine, or some guy named Valentine, he was like secretly marrying people. So he was kind of this, patron saint of love or whatever. And then there was another story I remember reading where it was something about a bunch of people getting together and they sacrificed a goat or something, and and then they'd rub the blood of the hide on the women, and then something. There was some, like Grimm's fairy tale version of the Valentine's Day version where I was like, that's probably more accurate, if we're being honest. That's probably the real story, And like the ladies were like cool with it. They're like, I got the goat blood. I got it. I got the goat blood on. Let me see if I can find it. Goat blood Valentine's Day. God, my Google searches are just horrific. I mean, if the government's listening, they're like, what is he up to? St. Valentine's Day, ancient roots stained in the blood of goats and saints. This is what I'm talking about, okay? This is the origin story. This is also how QAnon started, I believe. Yeah. Some festivity, Lupercalia. I'm probably saying that wrong. For sure saying that. But yes, okay, so it's pagan roots. Anytime I hear the word pagan, I just think something's getting set on fire. Something's getting burned, and it's going to be burned alive. And there's a effigy, and there's going to be some thing shaped like a human, and it's being burned. Something about fertility. I'm not going to read this whole thing. Brothers of the Wolf. Yeah, you get it. It's not great. We definitely spun it. We definitely spun this origin story of Valentine's Day, and now it's just a thing where you go out to dinner and restaurants hike up the price of chicken to ungodly amounts because they know you're coming. That's why they opened up, indoor. They just opened up indoor dining a couple of days ago because restaurants are like, please, for the love of God, we need to rake this in. And in this instance, good for them. They should have been open a while ago. And I feel like Cuomo was just kind of trying to cover his tracks because, I don't know, something came out about him where he was covering up all the nursing home deaths, and they were more than what he reported because he was trying to make himself look good. Again, trying to pad the stats. People are just trying to pad their stats. It was like that story that I talked about on the podcast a while ago where the ambulances were going to stop taking people to the hospital if they didn't have a good chance of living. It's like, that's the whole fucking point. That's the whole point. They're padding their stats, and that's what he was doing. Apparently, he was only counting the people that died in the nursing home, not the people who were taken out of the nursing home and went to the hospital, which apparently is a big difference. So he's not too thrilled. And, of course, he was just like, well, it's because of Trump. Because, Trump just didn't. He said something ridiculous like, I don't trust. He said, I don't trust the experts because they told us that it could only be spread by symptomatic people, and then now they're telling us it could be spread by asymptomatic people. And I'm like, yeah, that's how science works. They think that they go with the best thing they have, and then it changes. And listen, I got pissed too. And I thought, I'm like, okay, I don't feel bad. I must be fine. And now they're like asymptomatic. I'm like, it's a fucking conspiracy theory. I hoped it was a conspiracy theory. I don't want to believe that everybody out there might be sick and just give into the fear of whatever. God, this started going off the rails, huh? I was talking about Valentine's Day, and now I'm. So anyway, yeah, it's a weird holiday. Probably just gonna order in, like that's a fucking change from what we normally do. Now this just gives us a reason to justify it, I suppose. But yeah, so I just got the flowers. We don't do big. There's no gifts. I'm not getting you a bear. We don't have this space, okay? I had to move 19 things in this apartment to fit a plant in the corner. We're not getting a bear. And I don't think she wants a bear. But flowers are okay. We're trying to get more plants in here. It goes with the aesthetic that we're going for. It's a little colorful, but it's fine. Cardi B obviously disagrees. Did you see what she was saying? She was like, she got under fire because she said that men are obligated to spend more money on Valentine's Day than women are. That's what she said. And you're going to get some heat. You're going to get some heat if you say that men are obligated to spend more money. And so a lot of angry dudes lit her up on Twitter, and you had to have expected that. And here's the thing. She's not... Listen, behind closed doors, we all know she's not wrong. Like, we're acting like we're outraged that, men are obligated to spend more money on... Yeah, well, you know that. All those guys who are angry, you know that. And if you were in a relationship, you're going to spend... you're going to try to top... you know what I mean? Valentine's Day is not, it's not about the guy. It's not about the guy. So yeah, you're going to spend more money. Now it's, the obligated word is, that's where people, that's where lonely dudes get triggered, is when you say that they're obligated to spend more money. And it's like, I guess, but if she doesn't get anything, then you just have to get something. You just have to lay it out that it shouldn't be a gift-giving day. It's not a gift-giving day. Nobody, it's a day where you just spend time with each other and you share the company. Like, she was like, "Oh, my boyfriend Offset better, buy me a fucking Gucci Range Rover,
She looks like a total prostitute,
and he better get me
her butt.
a fucking,
It's just so big.
it's a lot. It's a lot. And I mean, he's already her boyfriend Offset, horrible name, change it. She's posting pictures with like her with like 19 bags. She collects these stupid bags. They look, I don't know anything about bags, but they look real dumb, and they're all the same bag. They're just different colors. And she's like, posing with her just, big, huge, fake balloon tits, and he's just standing there, or he's sitting down, and he looks exhausted. He looks exhausted, and it's gotta be exhausting to fucking date her. Of course he's trying to please her, because God knows if she gets angry, she's got a fucking streak in her. She's got a streak. She's out there, she used to freaking, she used to drug dudes. That whole thing came out. We were all fine with it. Yeah, she used to drug them and rob them. And now she's like demanding, yeah, you better buy me some stuff. Or what? What are you going to do? You gonna rob me? That was crazy to me. How we all just were okay with that. She was like, listen, times were tough. I had to do what I had to do to survive. You had to do what you had to do. Like, I hate presenting these types of arguments where imagine if a guy did that. But sometimes it is fun to play that little experiment. Imagine, it's the biggest economic crisis we've had in many, many years. A lot of people are trying to survive, air quote, air quote. A lot of people are down on their luck, are poor, are homeless, or whatever. You can't just go around drugging and robbing people. That's not okay. But, she had to do what she had to do. It's what it is. It's fine. I don't know. Is that too much? Is that too much? Maybe. We went down to Maryland this past weekend, visiting the Madre or whatever. And my mom has this next door neighbor. I think I can talk about this. I don't know. I feel like I've been told to not talk about it before, but he's moving out, so I don't really care. He's a character. Let's say that. This next door neighbor. He's got I knew he was bad news from day one. He's got an electric blue Corvette, which already just who are you, fucking Tony Montana? And he came out, he's got the sweats on with the sliders and a wife beater, and then he had these awful sunglasses that those sunglasses that just look like they're like a visor, almost like a snowboarding goggle. And he had a wreath on the front door that said "Welcome to the shit show." Now listen, I love a good door, sort of comical thing or whatever, but he was trouble. Let's just say that. He was trouble. Apparently now he's doing crack. I love a good story like that. I love seeing grown-ups. Going back home, it gets better and it gets worse all the time. Seeing the place that you grew up in, because you have this idea of the people that you grew up with in your community, and everybody's an adult there. You know what I mean? I was a kid when I left there after high school. So parents were still grown-ups. Parents were still these adult figures who had everything figured out. And I'm not just talking about my parents. I'm talking about just adults in general. You think, oh, they got it figured out. Wow, they managed to get a townhouse. They have a townhouse. They have a single family home in the place with the, wow, they have it really figured out. And then you go home and you start to run into some of these people again. And it's like you were just in a daze. You know what I mean? You're like Dorothy when she steps into color, and you're like, how the fuck are you people managing to stay afloat here. How? I mean, you see these people and it looks like you see the look in their eyes and they're like hanging on by a thread. And then you start to see people that you went to high school with and the stuff that they're doing. And apparently it's not that, I don't know why I thought getting a house was so difficult. It's really not, depending on just how much, like I thought, this is like when I think of buying houses in high school, like I thought you had to, when you bought a house, you had to have all the money for a house. Like you just, oh my God, they saved up all their money and they bought a house. No, you just have to get approved for it and then you pay it off for 1,000 years. So like that, when I learned that, it all stripped away the adultness of it all. Because now I'm seeing people from high school that I know get, they're buying brand new homes. Like brand new homes. I'm like, wow, great. Have fun paying that off forever. I'm not, I'm not into it. I mean, it's got to be tough right now because nobody has, a lot of people are out of work. I'm out of work. It's tough. I'm looking for a job. Right now. I don't really like looking for a job for the most time. Most of the time I've always looked for like a restaurant job and stuff. I don't really want to do that anymore. I've been sweating to run and go get somebody catch up for like 10 years of my working career. And I think I'm over it. I think I'm over it a little bit. So, I'm looking for new stuff on Indeed. And Indeed, I've found some Indeed I thought was like a place where you could go and then that's where like the real jobs were. I hate, quote unquote, like the real job, but that to me it seemed like a working place. I've had more success finding jobs off Craigslist than I ever had on any of those job sites. Those job sites are just, they paint a picture like you're gonna find something, and they're just elephant graveyards. Especially right now, you used to go on there, you fill out like a little assessment, you fill out some assessments, you upload your resume, something's probably gonna happen. And now it's like the Pride Lands after Scar and the hyenas took over. I mean, there's just nothing going on. But it hasn't, the wording of some of the posts, like they don't take into effect the state of the working sort of environment. You know what I mean? Like they still want the best of the best candidate. We want to know why you want to work here. What are your goals? What are your aspirations? Why do you want to be a part of this growing company? All right? Now give us 10 reasons why you think you are the candidate, the best fit to be the elevator operator at this law building. What makes you so special, really stand out? And you're like, I can't aim that high right now. I don't have it. I don't know if I have it in me to really lie and bullshit that much about some of these things. You're like, why are you the best fit to be the jet ski tour guide at this marina thing or whatever? It's bleak out there. You know what I mean? Like, who are you, Jamba Juice? Who are you to come to me and expect that much? Like, why are you expecting that high of a candidate? Just because you're on Indeed? Because you want to see my LinkedIn page? Now you think you're going to get some... Like, listen, bro. I mean, a lot of the posts are like, we don't want someone who, a job is just a job to them. Well, a job is a job. Oh, you mean you want somebody who's looking for a career? Crushing oranges and pineapples into a blender for tourists that don't exist around here? You want to work at your Jamba Juice kiosk in Grand Central? Like, there's not even a window to look out of in that building, and we're supposed to be dreaming big? Just seems like a little much to ask, I guess. I don't know. I mean, you got to take into account the state of the of the city. It's like, hey, man, hundreds of thousands of people are out of work. There's people getting stabbed every other day. Please don't ask me these questions. Please don't put me, don't make me dance. Don't make me dance. It's like when I'm walking with the flowers. You know what I mean? Don't ask me, oh, you got somebody special at home? You got a young lady who's going to be... Yeah, you know I do. I do. You see me with the flowers. You know what's going on. Don't talk to me. Don't ask. It's just where we are. And there are people getting stabbed. There was like 4 stabbings over the weekend or something in New York. And I'll say in New York. The headlines in the news, they said it was New York City, which I hate it. I hate it when they say like stabbing in New York City and you're like, oh my gosh, where in New York City? And then they're like Far Rockaway, which if you're not from New York, they said it's in New York City, and Far Rockaway is a couple blocks from the beach, okay? So that should tell you everything. It's not in New York City. All right, a couple people got stabbed in Far Rockaway, and then the other people were stabbed in like Fort Washington, which is 179th Street. And I hate the fear-mongering, like, in the city. Like they're acting like it was outside of Louis Vuitton that people are just getting jacked on the subway. It's not the case. Although they do think it might be connected, which hopefully it is. Man, I hope there's someone I don't hope there's someone running around stabbing people, but I like a good like I was saying the other week, like a juicy murder. I like a juicy kind of like story where there's a guy who we don't know who he is and the detective has to click a pen and write some shit down. We don't have that anymore. You really only get that. Those are like old stories from like small towns. I like small towns because they got a nice murder story. Like we went up, we were in upstate New York. Kate had a shoot for a thing and it was, I don't know, some shave gel thing, whatever. She had a shoot and I'm just driving around the city and like I went and sat in a diner and you're looking around and these people, people in small towns, they got a good murder story. There's just one story in the town and it was like a thing, it was like, oh, nobody knew who it was and they had to solve it. And it was like a big whole, the murder of Carpenter Street or you know what I mean? And that just doesn't happen in New York. Everything's a gang. Everything is over drugs and everything's over this. And I like a good vendetta. And that doesn't happen anymore. And obviously I don't want people to get stabbed. I just want I want to track a story. I want to follow someone down the trail and like, oh, we got a new lead on the whatever. That's the kind of shit that books get made out of. Like the Golden Gate high fence kill. I don't know the one that's somehow weirdly connected to Patton Oswalt. That guy, like that's the kind of shit that people write books about. I like those things. Why can't every murder be that thing? No, it's always just got to be something in the street. And that's why they get passed over so quickly. It's horrible. These people get murdered, and then the next day we're like, what else? What did Trump do? It's like these people were murdered. It's not interesting at all. It just happens way too much. I mean, like that's the news every day in Baltimore. Like whenever I go home, you turn on the news, and here's the people that were shot today. It's terrible. They don't even like tell their names. They don't even like share the people who were just like, another person. Mark another tack on the wall. It's nothing, there's no interesting murders anymore. They're all pretty, it's horrible to say, they're all boring murders. Yeah, that's been going on for a while. Pretty much my whole childhood. I was home and I was talking with a friend of mine about this guy who we used to fuck with. He told me to talk about it on the podcast, and so here I am. It's another part of my past that I'm not entirely proud of. I'm a little more proud of it than the stealing. You know, like I used to steal a lot. I don't really steal anymore, occasionally. Um, but yeah, there was this guy in the neighborhood who we just used to fuck with. It was like good old fashioned mischief. Which I feel like doesn't, here we go again. This doesn't happen nowadays. But it doesn't, you know, kids don't do mischief. Everybody's got a Ring doorbell. Everybody's got a camera or voice record. You can't just get away with fun mischief right like that and mess with people. And we liked to do mischief. Like that's all we had. We didn't have like phones that did all this shit, so we would just run around and you know, deface property and just not really deface property, just mess with people and their time and their sanity a little bit. So there's this guy in the neighborhood who he lived with his mom, which back then was hysterical. Now to me it sounds kind of nice. I'm like, oh, he's just living rent free and she probably got the groceries. But back then it was like, wow, bro, get it together. Yeah, so there's this guy in the neighborhood, and we used to play basketball at my friend's house across the street, and the basketball court was like kind of in the street. And so I was sitting at the edge of his like driveway, just sitting on a ball watching them play. And he came out and he started yelling at me. He's like, you know, get off my property or I'm going to throw you in a trash can. That's what he said to me. He said he was going to throw me in a trash can. And in that moment, I was like, your life is going to be hell now. And it was, because I was a child. And I was like, you just did it. You just did it. So we just proceeded to mess with this dude and I'm not talking anything terrible, you know what I mean? We were just like doorbell ditch, that kind of stuff. But religiously and like all the time, we would do it randomly. And then we just did it every Friday. Every Friday we would do something. We would doorbell ditch, you know, firecrackers off in his yard. And at one point we went to Five Below and we got a 3-man water balloon launcher. And we would stand across the street behind this house and we would just like a survivor challenge, just launching these water balloons, hitting his house, and he just didn't know where it was coming from. It was hysterical. And then he got a little smart. He started to pick up the pattern, like, okay, these fuckers are coming every Friday at the exact same time. I'm going to be ready for them. And so it was around Halloween, so everyone had these decorations up. And so my brother, he runs up, and he doesn't knock on the door. He just does one big bang. One just boom right on the door. And he's waiting. He's got his hand on it, so he hits the door. The guy swings open the door to see my brother, and everyone just fucking scatters. And my friend is across the street in this yard that has all these like decorations and ornaments for Halloween. And so he just flips his hood and just sits down and perches up like a fucking gargoyle and just stays perfectly still. And the dude is like, he's got a flashlight and he's like looking for people. And he glanced over him a few times and he just didn't see him. He just blended the fuck in as a gargoyle. And he and then his mom came out and they're running around. I mean, it was the best. It was the best of times. It was the best of times when you could do that. You had nothing to lose. Like, you get caught, what's going to happen? Nothing. Oh, God, that was the best. We messed with him for years. I mean, for years. Like, and not even immediately, too. That's what I love. I love how, you know, I had a vendetta. I had a vendetta back that you wronged me. And then I was like, okay, we'll be back. And we weren't back the next day. We weren't back the next week. We weren't back the next month. We went back when you forgot about us. We went back when you didn't know what this was about. You didn't know who it was. We're like the mob. You know what I mean? We're like the mob. We're not going to, just, you know, a couple of years down the line, we're going to visit you. Maybe we'll visit your family. We'll come by your house. We'll knock on the door, you know? We ask you some questions. Put two in the back of the head, you know? We didn't do any of that, but we hit you with water balloons. We got you with those firecrackers. We knocked on your door at all times of the night. And again, it's harmless. Nothing was broken. Nothing was stolen. It was just a severe inconvenience, and we disrupted some sleep patterns for sure. And we made this guy think that somebody was out to get him. I mean, can you imagine, thinking from this guy's perspective? He's a nobody who lives at home with his mother. Like, why would someone target me? Why would someone keep doing this to me? And you just don't know the ripple effect of your actions, I suppose. And that's how the world worked back then. And I wish you could do that nowadays. It doesn't even seem like the thought of doing mischief now doesn't even seem fun to me. And that's sad. Have I lost the joy? Have I grown up? Or I think just shit is different nowadays. I hate when people tell you not to grow up. It's such a bullshit thing that doesn't translate into real life. Never grow up. Never. You should just stay a kid and never grow up. Yeah, that's admissible in court. Your Honor, I couldn't be. The kid couldn't be mine. I'm a kid at heart. I cannot be the father. Girls have cooties. Anyway, that's the podcast. Yeah, boom, we're like a 30-something minutes. That's a podcast this week, episode 10. Congrats on making it this far. Thank you so much if you've been listening since day one, 10 weeks ago. Yeah, if you have a Valentine, enjoy your time, order some good food, support the local restaurants, and go to if you can, go to the restaurant and get the food. I'm probably going to order in, but it helps with the fees because Uber Eats fucking rapes the restaurant, with the fees or whatever. I don't know. I read it on a meme on Instagram, but it sounded good. So yeah, that's the podcast. We'll be back next week. Going to California soon. Excited about that. But yeah, check out the YouTube. Please subscribe. It helps with the stuff. And if you haven't, please rate and review the podcast on iTunes. Rate and review. Write a little blurb. You can say I suck. It's fine. But put the 5 stars. But write something. It helps. Helps with the algorithm and getting noticed. And just share it, Tell a friend, hey, my friend's an idiot. He rambles on a podcast for a half hour. Just tell a friend. It really does make a difference. Okay, that's the end. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.